All right, hello everybody. We're back. We got our Q&A questions, and once we get done and through that, we're going to get into. We're going to talk about James Griffin, known as Fu Manchu. He was a Fresno Hell's Angel and then went to Oakland, and I want to give you a little insight into him. Fu and I were good friends. But before we get into that, I'm going to answer this week's questions. My lovely wife's off camera, and she's going to read the first question. All right, Bev, what do we got?
This is from Kathy, and she wants to know, is it true that the problem between you and Sonny was a woman?
Well, that added to the problem. Sunday night had a 3 decade battle about rules and regulations and what the platform and the political direction of the club would be. Uh, there was a woman that ultimately became Sonny's fourth wife. Her name is Z. I think Sonny called her Zorana. That's her actual name. She worked for me for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, maybe a little bit longer. And at the end of the 90s, we were under heavy investigation. And we got raided, and I got a police report. And in that police report, information was shared in the report that only Z knew and I knew. And I knew that I hadn't talked to the cops. So I felt Z had become a security liability. I brought it up to the charter. Ventura decided to 86 her. When Ventura decided 86 her, I let her go. As an employee, she immediately ran to Sonny, and Sonny ignored the 86. He started interacting with her, fell in love with her, married her. That's the problem. But I never had a relationship with this woman. She had a string of boyfriends through the 80s and 90s, and I wasn't one of them. Okay, next question.
Okay, Joseph Hamblin wants to know, please tell us about the fight between Sonny and David Ortega.
Well, there really was no fight between Sonny and David Ortega. There was a fight between Little Joe and Sonny. And if you're referring to that, write the question up again next week, and I'll address it. But David Ortega and Sonny had a good relationship. I know David respected him. David had some differences with him on occasion, as I did, but they never fought. Just like I never fought Sonny. Maybe close a couple of times, but never took it all the way. Next question.
John Ralston wants to know, was the decentralization structure of the Hells Angels with autonomous chapters intentional?
I think that it was unintentional, but it benefited us in the long run. And once we realized that during the RICO trial, we continued that posture. Sometimes I thought it was a great way to run a club. Other times it didn't work out so well because you do need a leader. And Sonny Barger held that position as de facto leader. I did myself when Sonny would go off and do jail time. And as the 90s ended and Sonny kind of stepped out of the political arena, I wound up being kind of a de facto leader and, spokesman along with other people. But it was not done intentionally, but it worked out for the best for us.
Heavy Holler is asking, is the international travel difficult for you still?
Well, my passport's flagged. I know last time I went to the UK to get into the UK, took me 6 hours, even just to be allowed to stay in the airport. And I was heading to Spain. And when I got to Spain, I was welcomed there with open arms. Spent 3 years there. On my way back home, I stopped in Denmark. They were all over me. So, some of the countries are easy, some of the countries are hard, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, they're out of the question. No travel. But, my passport is flagged and it still affects me to this day.
Okay, Nick B wants to know, if your status is out bad, why is it that your picture is still on official websites?
Most likely because I'm so photogenic. No, I'm being a smartass. I have no idea. And you'd have to ask the powers that be. What's interesting is about a year ago, they sent out a reminder that nobody should be talking to me. I had a lot of people in the club following me. I was receiving a lot of direct message mail from members asking advice and whatnot. Somehow I never said anything, but somehow the word got out, and they sent a reminder to everybody around the world. I got they sent it to me by mistake. I got a copy of it. It said, George Christie's out bad. Do not communicate with him. Do not post on his page. Do not give him any attention. So, I'm not looking for any attention from the Hells Angels. But, if they're still posting pictures of me, you'd have to address that with them.
Okay, Bobby V wants to know what's with the mom jokes. They're getting old.
Well, the mom jokes are between me and David Ortega. And in David's memory, I'll continue to do the mom jokes. Part of what I feel is appropriate with the mom jokes is they're really stupid responses, but they're stupid responses to stupid questions. And that's the whole point. And that's why David and I used to do it. Somebody'd ask us a stupid question, and that was the response. Maybe your mom might have the answer, or talk to your mom about it. Another thing David and I used to do was tell really bad jokes and see how many people in the clubhouse sitting around would laugh just because they thought that was the thing to do. And the lamer the joke, the louder the laughs, the more fun David and I had with it. But, David and I were very close, had our problems from time to time, fist fought from time to time. But I sure love that guy. Not a day goes by that I don't think about him or talk about him with Beverly or somebody in my family. I really miss him a lot.
Okay,
So,
David is your last question here. And David P5P8K, whatever that means. Your videos are as dull as dishwater.
well, I'll tell you what, my videos may be dull, but they're not as dull as an evening with your mother, my friend. So, later, okay. We're going to get into talking about Fu Manchu. I called him Fu. The police called him James Griffin. There's a podcaster on YouTube. I don't know if he's a former police officer or what. He identifies Fu as a one-time informant. I say that's bullshit. I know Fu took the stand in his own defense once, and he may have somebody ratting on him that was an informant for the cops. He may have said, "No, it wasn't me. It was him." That was kind of a standard practice back then, and people still did it all the way up with the Tony Tate trials. So, if somebody's pointing a finger at you, it's more than appropriate. If you get on the stand, if they're working with the cops, you point the finger back at them. But the same guy also identifies Fu, Marvin, and Lurch, all Oakland members, as also being AB members. And I would say absolutely not. Perhaps associates, but we had a strict rule back then that you could not be anything other than a Hell's Angel. And it got so complicated, and we were so strict when we started the Hell's Angels started the Modified Motorcycle Association. We called it the MMA, and people were joining it, and people were getting brought up to get kicked out of the club because they had belonged to another organization. We finally distinguished that was our organization. We owned it, and it was proper to do that. But I don't know who this guy is. I feel like he's doing it in earnest. I don't think he's trying to smut anybody up, but this guy's not a street guy. And you know what, my friend? You are smutting people up, and they don't have that coming. So, Fu was a Fresno Hells Angel along with Vern and Moldy Marvin. They went up to Oakland. The Little D went south. I don't know where Jerry the Jew went. He might have went south as well. I'm not sure. But Fu came up to Oakland. He got in trouble up there a few times. And, he went to prison a couple of times. I know he may have been in and out of Folsom. He might have been there twice. I'm not really sure. I know he was there once. But I remember once in the early 70s, he was scheduled to be released from Folsom, and a bunch of guys got together, rode up to the prison, took his bike up there, and at the last minute as he was checking out, they presented him with some new paperwork that would not allow him to associate with the club. There was a non-association clause, and Fu was so down and so involved in the politics of the Hells Angels, he refused to leave the prison. He stayed in there. Everybody was disappointed. They had to go home without him. Took his bike back. A few months later, he was released. But Fu was a very powerful figure. I know when the New York City Third Street Crew were celebrating their 10-year anniversary, they asked Fu, along with Sandy, to go on all the TV shows and talk about celebrating the Third Street Crew's 10 years of Hell's Angels in the city. So he was a powerful guy. I can't remember the specific shows he was on, but he was on a bunch of them that particular weekend. And I know anything you would do, Fu would do it better. I pulled out a little bag of Coke one time, like a little stamp, something you'd put a coin in or a stamp, and handed it to him, gave him a snort. About 20 minutes later, he pulled out his bag, and it was one of those gallon Ziplocs with about a half a key of cocaine in it. So everything he did big. He was a concert promoter. Him and Deacon Proudfoot, they had Charlie Magoo Productions. Charlie Magoo was a popular Hells Angels in Oakland that died from a heart attack. They named the business after him, and he promoted a lot of high-power guys. He also introduced me to people in the business. I had met Rock Scully, Jerry Garcia, Bill Graham, some of these different country and western performers, all through my relationship with Fu. The movie Hell's Angels Forever was done when Fu was in Folsom Prison with Sonny. And there's actually, if you see one of the early cuts, there's a interview with him and Fu. They're at Folsom Prison with their prison garb on. And when Fu got home, he really had helped change that whole direction of that movie. Jerry Garcia had given us some money to finish the movie. And he also, Fu made some introductions for us. He introduced Timothy Leary into the project. People from the 60s remember Timothy Leary. Tune in, turn on, and drop out. Timothy Leary was married to one of the sisters of Charlie Angel, so he had an in into Hollywood. And, through Timothy Leary and Fu, that's where I met Dennis Hopper. And there was a movie maker called Richard Chase. And Richard took the home footage that Sandy had and turned it into this docudrama that was actually nominated for Academy Award. It was best documentary or docudrama or something. Of course, it didn't get one, but Fu was a very interesting cat. And I remember I found out that the Rolling Stones, I found out through an outside source in my concert promotion business that the Rolling Stones had finally paid the debt off for Alan Pizarro's defense from the Altamont deal. And I got word that Oakland and New York City were going to cut the money up and keep it in their own private treasuries. And I brought it up at a officers meeting, and I remember Fu was just dumbfounded. He wanted to know. He always pressed me up until his death. How did you find out about that money? They were trying to find out where the leak was or who gave me that information, and it kind of became a running joke between me and Fu. I never did tell him who told me, and I don't think I'm going to divulge it now. But it caused a lot of waves. Fu's end was tough, man. It was a holiday weekend. And we were on our way down to San Diego. I think there was a funeral down there. And then from the funeral, we were going up, maybe up to Big Bear or Lake Arrowhead. We were having a run in the south. And I called home, and I got word to call Robert Poland. And I called Robert Poland, and he told me Fu had been killed. Fu was driving a new Trans Am or something, and he was riding the center line, and he drifted over and hit another car head on. I know Fu died immediately, just instantly. The people in the car, I don't remember what happened. I'm not trying to be abrasive. that wasn't my interest. I didn't know who they were. I really took Fu's death hard. I mean, it took me a long time to come to terms. He was such a powerful individual. When I went to the funeral, I kept waiting for him to sit up in the coffin and have him tell us what we were doing wrong with the event. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. I used to just love being in the officers' meetings. You know, I would sit next to him in the officers' meetings. He was very well educated. I think he had a master's, or he was just on the verge of his master's from Berkeley. He had got a lot of the classes accomplished when he was in Folsom. Just, just a hell of a guy. You know, you either love Fu or you hated him, and I'm one of the guys that loved him, and I miss him. And like I said, when I hear people saying disparaging remarks about him, you know, I don't dig it. He's not here to protect himself. But I guess in a sense, maybe some people might think I'm a hypocrite. I make comments, about Sonny from time to time. But I'll tell you, the things I say about people, in all likelihood, I said them to their face when they were alive. And, you know, Sonny and I had a lot of confrontations. I'm winding down my book, Crossing the Rubicon. I think, you know, I talk about Fu's death in there. You know, I'm going to get into a lot of stuff. Talk about the relationship Sonny had with Z, who had been 86 by Ventura. Very disappointing when Brother decided to take the posture of a possible informant over a whole charter. But, you know, it is what it is. But I think that's going to be it for this week. You know, from time to time, I'll tell you little stories about Fu. I've got stuff popping in my head right now, and it's just kind of overwhelming. I hope you enjoy these little stories. Keep sending the questions in, and I'll keep answering them. And tell me who you want to hear about next time, all right? Thanks for coming. Please subscribe. And if you don't like the commercials, you can always go to Patreon. It's not that expensive to get it commercial free. All right, everybody, take care.